Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, second time in a week, the Suns beat the Clippers in a close one on the road down the stretch. This team keeps coming up big. They keep surprising us. Book's big night, Dunn stepping up, much more. Let's go.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Suns. I'm Brendon Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen to kick off your Friday. Happy November. Hope you had a good Halloween. Don't forget Locked On Suns is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button. Do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode, guys, brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Joining me, as always, the executive producer of The Drive on Fox Sports 910 from the Wild West Valley. How are we feeling on this winning Friday? Ben Garcia.
You'll get to your asking me 7 words or less about this game, but
you can give it to me now if you have it.
I just never in doubt. There was seriously never a point in this game where I thought the Suns were in doubt. It was just a really good game, man. Really good game. Just the ability to show the likability of this team. There was never a moment, and oftentimes last year, I had it where I was like, okay, this game's over. Like, I don't need to watch the rest of this. When they were down 21, I was like, they showed that they can get down 10 in this game. Let's just wait it out. And I was about to text you. I was like, hey, how far do we wait? Is it 30 points before we just jump on and do something earlier than we normally do? But there's just something about this team, man. There's just something about this Phoenix Suns team. So it was a really good win. Really good win. So if I'm summarizing this up, never in doubt. Never in doubt for this team.
You can submit your 7-word or less game take. Follow me on Twitter. My name and @name is right there on the screen on YouTube. It's @BrendonClean14. Today's lucky submission goes to Adam Isbell, my favorite one of the day. Most wins in Intuit Dome history. Ben, how do you like that one? The final score, 125-119. No Bradley Beal. Rough start to say the least, 37-20 after the first quarter. And yet the Suns push and push and push, like we've already seen them do numerous times this season, coming back from deficits, winning tight games late, winning the fourth quarter by 8. So we'll break it all down. I'm going to zoom in on my moment of the game to start, Ben, but I'm already just going to tell you I'm cheating because it's really 4 of them that all were almost identical, and they all have to do with Devin Booker. As I mentioned, they're down 17. They almost got doubled up in the first quarter. What does Book do? Beginning of the second quarter, 8 points in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They chip away a little, but then the deficit goes right back to something worse. It actually gets to 18 by halftime. So then what does he do? Beginning of the third quarter, 7 points and 1 assist in the first minute and 49 seconds. Now they're in business. They basically do to the Clippers in that third quarter what the Clippers did to them in the first quarter, and now it's a game. And then twice in the fourth quarter, Book basically locked this thing down. Midway through, he has a transition layup followed by that corner 3. And then right at the very end of the game, just to put one more bullet through the Clippers' heart, Book comes out of the timeout and just drills that pull-up 3 right in Terrence Mann's face. And then you get the Royce O'Neal finish. And it's like, all right, Clippers might make a run at this. James Harden's getting to the free throw line. Is this about to get tight? And then Book said no. So every time they needed it, he solved this defense that's given them so much trouble already in 2 games this year and had his best game of the season without a doubt.
So I think it's just time for us to both agree that this Clippers team and the Suns team, they just play each other really well. I don't think it matters who the Clippers have. I don't think it matters who the Suns have. If you remember, the Suns lost to this team in game 1 of the Western Conference quarterfinals years ago when they didn't even have Paul George on that team. And then Kawhi Leonard goes down. The Suns win the next 4, but that could have been a highly contested series. There's just something there between these two teams where two really smart head coaches, where I think Tyronn Lue is just coaching his butt off with this team.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to the very simple thing from last week to this week. Last week, we have Kevin Durant, and you don't have anyone that can do it. We have Devin Booker, and you have no one else that can keep up. And Devin Booker tonight, it's just nice that now we have 2 games where combined Devin Booker has 70-plus points. And now we can put the narrative. It wasn't really a narrative, but it was just a talking point of like, what's going on with Booker? He's perfectly fine.
Well, he's perfectly fine, but he's perfectly fine because he adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Booker's at his best. I said it in the episode where we added a little bit of fuel to that fire and at least had the conversation of what's going on here. Pull up threes, drives to the basket. He has to be doing one or both of those things consistently to unlock the best version of himself. What did he do tonight? Both. Both of those things. 13 of 15 from the free throw line, relentless getting downhill, absorbing contact, and getting to those free throws. And he did convert some of the looks inside. And then bombing away on pull-up threes, 5 of 9. I mentioned the one in that final minute or 2 of the game against Terrence Mann, but those were the looks that the Clippers were allowing. They're playing really pressed up on every ball screen that the Suns had. Early, nobody could figure it out. Book comes in that second quarter and says, okay, I think I got to just take that first good shot. Guy's going to be behind me, whatever. And he did it, and then that starts to open things up, and they convert from there. So, yes, he did adjust, or he did get out of that hole, but it's because he played a different way that we all kind of know he needs to, and hopefully this can right the ship. But what is your moment of the game, Ben?
Well, I was ready to come on here, and I texted us, declare that, I don't think Jusuf Nurkic sucks. I will not concede that. I don't think he's a bad basketball player. I think he's exactly what he is. I think he's a decent basketball player where some nights you're going to get a good Nurkic and some nights you're going to get a bad Nurkic.
Yeah.
I thought for me, the moment of the game was in that third quarter, and I couldn't find it exactly on here. I think it was when they got down 12 points. It's when Nurkic got the ball down low, had some pretty nice stretches in that third quarter, outside of the first 4 plays. And then after that, he was really good in the third quarter. It is where he backed down Zubac and put the ball in the basket, and just immediately seemed like everyone started rallying around him. You can tell this team really likes Jusuf Nurkic. So instead of talking about what we would be talking about is, hey man, maybe we really do have a Nurkic problem. Maybe this guy just doesn't fit here. Maybe they're going to have issues. Maybe this is something that could keep them from winning a championship. We're now talking about how great Devin Booker was and how resilient this team was, because he picked himself up in the third quarter, and I thought he was really, really good. And I thought that play where he backed down Zubac and hit just a little hook shot with some contact, I thought that really was one of the things that helped change the game and helped swing the narrative of this game. Your thoughts on Nurkic, who was virtually unplayable in the first half, to what he looked like later on?
No, I think you said it well on Nurk. I think the best thing you can say about him is that he was able to be on the court during the best stretch of the game that this team had. And I think just to shout out how incredible that third quarter was, the Suns made 15 straight shots, and they had 13 total assists in a quarter. 15 consecutive shots, 13 assists. Tyus Jones alone had 7 assists in just the third quarter. And they put up 39 points and completely flipped the script to being down 18 at halftime and suddenly only down 2 heading into the fourth quarter when they finally took over. So, Nurk definitely cleaned things up. It helps when guys are just on fire. We'll see, I guess, kind of how that trends.
He lives to fight another day. Anyone that is going to give Jusuf Nurkic a ton of crap because he was really bad in the first half, he stepped it up in the third quarter, and they ended up winning. He buys himself more time to try to fit into this system, and that's what I think he did tonight. I'm not here defending Nurkic. He was literally awful. He was not playable in the first half. Third quarter takes some resilience where this whole team stepped up, him as well. And, overall, again, just in that third quarter, you had mentioned 15 straight buckets, 16 of 20 in the third quarter. They didn't miss their first shot until 2 minutes and 42 seconds left in the third quarter. The Clippers were just
And it
in
was open.
hell.
It was like
It
a
was
good
all
shot
open.
still. Like it
That
easily
was
could have
great.
gone in. It's not like they got clamped down all of a sudden. They could have gotten
No.
16-17, to be honest.
You know what's funny? I didn't realize, and clearly I watched this game, but I didn't realize that they had hit so many shots in a row. I just every time was like, oh yeah, that looks good. Oh yeah, that looks good. And it wasn't just led by Devin Booker. This team, and we'll talk about it at the next time, like Royce O'Neal,
Yeah.
it really is the unsung hero of this team, man. Ryan Dunn is, I'm the president of the Ryan Dunn fan club. I predicted him to win Rookie of the Year at the beginning of the year. But Royce O'Neal, like this guy is really stepped up and really showed that he earned that $70-something million contract.
Yeah, let's tick down the depth chart in this box score of this 125-119 win. I'm sure we'll return to that resiliency and some of the players who made this happen, all coming up. First, today's show is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Let's check in here on the Arizona Cardinals line. Is it still a little unfair to the Arizona Cardinals? Yes, it is. They're only 1.5 favorites. I know the Bears have a good defense, but 1.5 at home against a team that they've just played better than most of the year doesn't feel fair to me. I don't know. You got to win the bet now. FanDuel is making you earn it. Maybe you just find the biggest minus odds, which I believe is the Chiefs this week, and then get started on the more fun stuff. Get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Ben, let's keep it rolling here. What is your big takeaway coming off of this 125-119 Suns win over the Clippers?
I don't think they win this game if Frank Vogel's the head coach. I don't think so. I don't think it's just the players. Tyus Jones helps. Ryan Dunn helps. I don't remember seeing Frank Vogel feel like he had the cojones to scream at Devin Booker. I can't remember what exactly it was late in the second quarter or whatever it was, but someone hit a wing three. I think it was Norman Powell. Mike Budenholzer calls a timeout, and he's seething. He's screaming at these guys. Budenholzer has the ability to show you that he loves you, but then chew your blank out directly after. Frank Vogel never had that because Frank Vogel felt like he had to earn the respect of this team. Mike Budenholzer doesn't care. He knows he has it. I don't think they win this game with Frank Vogel. I didn't see like insane adjustments. The Suns just started hitting shots. But to feel some pressure to know that you got to start hitting some shots or your coach is going to either bench you, I'm looking at you, Jusuf Nurkic, or just scream at you till the cows come home. I don't think they win that game with Frank Vogel. And I think you're already starting to see the discrepancy in head coaching from Frank Vogel and Mike Budenholzer in just 5 games, where I was the one preaching, all right, guys, let's give it some time. Like if they lost this game, I'd be like, listen, they're 3-2. They beat the Mavs, Lakers, and they already beat the Clippers. Like, they're okay. Just give them some time. Mike Budenholzer's coaching his butt off, and it's not just in between games. It's in the middle of games. It's adjustments, and it's what should give you confidence going into the playoffs later in April that you have a head coach that is not going to get circles coached around him. What about you?
Yeah, we can debate if this was a bad fit for Vogel or who's a better coach or blah, blah, blah. What I know for sure is Mike Budenholzer is a more confident coach than Frank Vogel ever was here, right? He just has this thing kind of in the palm of his hand in a way that I frankly never felt, and no pun intended with the frankly there, from Vogel. I just didn't feel like he ever owned this room, this locker room, and this roster the way that it already feels like Bud does. As far as adjustments go, I think he had a great game in that department as well. I think the Suns did, of course, make shots that third quarter. You're not going to say great coaching as the team piles on 15 in a row. But we talked a little bit about the Nurk dynamic. I thought that playing the Oso Iguodaro card was a surprise. I don't think the Clippers were necessarily ready for. They got some decent minutes when they kind of needed it from him. They came out of the half with much better and decisive offensive actions and ball movement to get themselves out of the rut that they were in that first half with a bunch of turnovers. I give a lot of credit to Bud for that. I feel like they, even just not going small and kind of resisting that urge despite Nurkic struggling and things like that, when last week that was kind of what got them into the game. And Bud didn't feel like that was going to work, and he kind of was proven right. So I think there's a lot of things you can look at from a lineup standpoint that went better over the course of the game, and you got to give Bud the credit for that stuff.
Yeah, let's get X's and O's. Let's get analytical here. Late in that, somewhere around that third, fourth quarter, I was like, why isn't Bud just going small again? Roll out Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Grayson Allen. Like, why don't we just run that back? Were you surprised that he didn't do that? And he stuck with Mason Plumlee. He stuck with Nurk. He pulled Ryan Dunn late in that game. Are you surprised by that? Because I was.
A little bit, but I think in the same way that Zubats has had great games in both of them, so it's hard to really dare him in that way. I think though, I agree, Ty Lue, and something about these teams, it always tends to be close, but I think Bud is kind of showing his own cockiness in a way by not going small there, because I think he's kind of betting that the Clippers can't keep scoring 37 points or anything close in a quarter. And he was kind of proven right. It ticked down a little in the second, and then it fell off drastically in that third and fourth quarter. And I think he was like, all right, if Harden's going to score 55, we lose. If Zubats has a 30-point night in him, we lose. If Kevin Porter is suddenly good again, we lose. But I'm not going to panic and just start chucking threes and going 5 out, because I think there's a little bit of mind games on Bud's side there as well. And by the time it got super late where you thought, okay, maybe they close that way, well, then they were up. And so they didn't need to go so panicky, and they could just kind of roll with it, I think. That's just my read, but I could be wrong.
What's your takeaway?
My takeaway, I do just think we got to harp on the fight of this team. It's kind of a more emotional one, but this, you said never in doubt. I'll circle us back there. Ben, I doubted.
Really?
It got bad.
Really?
It looked exactly like it looked a lot of times where it fell apart last year, and I watched 82 of them, and at least half of them, it looked a lot like that, and they collapsed. So I didn't expect them to collapse. I believe in this group to be a little bit better. We've already seen them have some comebacks that made me feel confident, but yeah, that combined with the Nurk situation and everything else, I was like, if KD doesn't really have it tonight and they're going to be throwing the ball all over and their defense is leaky, this could get really ugly. I thought they were going to lose at halftime, for sure.
Yeah, I never thought they were going to win or lose either way. When I mean never in doubt, I mean, because I'm not going to act like, oh, I knew the Suns were going to, I put money on it, I'm from the future. Sure. I wasn't that. I never thought, up until at all in this game, I guess I should say, was that this team was either going to win or either going to lose. I kept on, and it's why I held back from sending you the text like, hey, how bad does this have to get before you and I just jump on here? And I thought it'd be like, 30 plus points. But I held back from that because I'm like, this team's going to fight back. They might still lose by 8 points, but they're going to get this game within single digits at some point. Want to know why, Brendon, I thought that? They already did it opening night on the road. And they already did it at home the other night with the Lakers. They got down like 21-6 to the Lakers in the first quarter. It was not pretty, but they've showed there's a resiliency to this team that is not just, and it's important in this aspect. It's, again, not how you start, it's how you finish. And this team did not have that last year. The broadcast team mentioned they had 2 wins last year out of, I think it was 13 tries. Oh my gosh, the Suns were down 13 times by 20 plus points. And only won 2 of them last year. One was against the Kings. I can't remember the other one they said. The Suns were already down 20 plus points already this year. If I'm not mistaken, they were down minimum 13 points against the Lakers the other night. It was in the first
18,
quarter. 18 points. Like, this team shows the resiliency to fight. And I do just think a lot of that comes from the coaching staff and, of course, some of the new players. Last year, there were just so many times guys would take shots and I'm just like, oh, that's not going in. Royce O'Neal's taking a shot so confidently, I just expect the ball to go in. And Ryan Dunn as well. Kevin Durant, you could have told me he had 30 points in this game and I would have believed you. But instead of having 30 points and it was kind of empty calories like sometimes it was last year, he had 18 points and every bucket he made felt big. He didn't have a lot of those last year. I'm not blaming him. There's a lot of him and Devin Booker, and that was it. This year's just different, man. This team's different. I'm ready to get hurt again. I am ready to get hurt again.
Absolutely, and that's the takeaway, right? Is I was wrong. You were more right, and they keep proving that point time and again. That is now plus 18 in fourth quarters on the season through 5 games, and 3-0.
Doesn't that feel so good? Doesn't that feel so good?
3-0 in clutch games. Yeah, I mean, it's gone about as well as you could possibly hope, and that's huge because it's not as if they haven't been tested at all. They're not cruising here. They are really earning it, and that's big for confidence too. Okay, let's talk about Dunn stepping into that starting lineup again, and the guy who he replaced who suddenly was a late scratch. And I got one box score thing. We'll close out there. First, today's show is brought to you by the Game Time app, the best place to buy any ticket, and Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks to make getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Honestly, just look at Glendale. The next 2 weekends, you got Caleb Williams and Aaron Rodgers coming in. Those are pretty awesome games. If you want to go and not spend tons and tons of money, check out Game Time. You'll go to the game, you'll click in, it'll show you the best value with those Game Time picks right at the top. So, sometimes that's the cheapest, but sometimes that'll tell you, hey, there's this lower level seat that's like half of what you would expect it to cost. Buy this ticket. It's a little pricey, but you're going to get the best possible value you can. On top of that, the all-in pricing, views from your seats, and much more the Game Time has always been known for. Make it the best place to buy a ticket. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA when you do to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Alrighty, Ben, let's close it out here. So we learned right before tip-off, basically, that Beal, who missed Saturday's game against Dallas, which we were like, okay, that's the second night of a back-to-back. I can understand it. It was shoulder, and then it became elbow, and then he misses Saturday, comes back Monday, then late in Monday's game, he misses, he seems to be messing with the elbow again, and you're wondering, and then he's questionable, and then he misses it. So that's kind of the timeline, and then the Suns, as you mentioned, having the luxury of actual depth this season, they put the rookie back in there. He plays more minutes than he did this past first start on Saturday, and career high for this early stretch of 16 points. So let's start with the Beal aspect of it, and then we can keep singing the praises of Ryan Dunn. But the thing that's always frustrated me with the Beal experience in Phoenix, getting to see it firsthand, Ben, is it's always something different. That's what's hard to feel optimistic about it, is you can say, oh, it's just an elbow thing. He'll recover. But then it'll be a quad, a neck, and I feel bad for the guy as a person, but as a person thinking and caring about this team, it's like you can't ever feel confident that he's 100%.
Well, here's the problem with Beal is last year, and I fell into this too, was just get healthy. Take the time you need, just get healthy. And then we waited weeks and weeks and weeks, and then he'd get healthy, and then he'd go back out, and he'd get healthy, and then he'd go back out. And we start this, and we largely blame it, or at least I do, on they got off on a bad foot last year, and his back was already injured. I don't even know when Bradley Beal got injured in the Lakers game last Saturday. And he missed a game, and then he played, and now he's missing a game, and now I'm concerned because he shot poorly the other night against the Lakers, and he obviously was still hurting, and now they're calling it elbow soreness. Like, I am concerned about Bradley Beal.
To clarify that too, it was shoulder soreness, then it was elbow soreness, now it's an elbow sprain. So it's also like
why was he playing
evolving.
with an elbow sprain then? Well,
or maybe it was soreness, and then whatever he did to it at the end of the Monday night game, that developed into more of a real like injury, and that's why they're calling it a sprain. I mean, we have no idea. I'm just saying so that people know.
I know it's game 5, and I know there's no hurry to make a guy like Bradley Beal just play, but at some point, man, you do have to show that you're willing to play hurt. Like, there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. If you have a rolled ankle, you can't play. If your elbow's sprained, if it's really sprained, yes, that can be painful. But like at some point, man, guys play hurt all the time.
Isn't the team doing what you were just saying, which is to err on the side of caution?
I don't want
no.
Well,
anyway?
I was on that last year. This year, I don't want to do the Bradley Beal out every 2 weeks thing, and then we have an issue when he comes back with, all right, how long is he going to be in? And there's a conversation that you and I kind of explained to you off air, but it's just more of just I can't keep on seeing Bradley Beal like he's a long lost cousin, and I see him every couple of months and then I forget about him. Like, I need the guy to be in the lineup more consistently, even if he's got a couple of boo-boos. If you can play, you're either hurt or you're injured. And if he's injured, fine. If he's hurt, no. And I'm not the doctor.
Yeah,
I'm just getting a little frustrated with it, because how did you play? Did you really re-aggravate it that bad that you were a late scratch and we didn't really know anything? Like, I'm just getting a little frustrated.
I don't know if late scratch is fair. I mean, he was listed as questionable and then he was deemed out. I mean, I guess I'm just saying in this particular case, Ben, I do feel like there were people posting a clip. It was noticed in real time, but addressed it post-game on Monday. That it was exacerbated in some way. But I'm with you on the frustration side of it.
Just frustrated.
I just don't know if there's any way around it. I mean, it's been a half decade almost of this pattern with Beal that Wizards fans warned all of us would be the case. If you go through it, it's never, there's no rhyme or reason. And I just think he's a guy that's like that. I mean, there's plenty of them. Kyrie Irving is like that. Anthony Davis is like that. There's players who just always tend to have something going on. So we'll just have to, I agree. You know, ideally he is threading that needle between injured and hurt and knowing his boundaries, and the team is handling it properly. But I honestly feel like unless the team falls off a cliff or we see really a lot of injuries stack up, they can survive it, and they're probably just focused on April. Dunn, though, keeps making it seem like they're not going to miss a beat, as does Royce O'Neal, and Grayson Allen hasn't even played well yet, but we think he'll probably will as well. So I don't have anything new to say about Ryan Dunn, Ben. I'm not skipping over his awesome night just to do it, but we've already seen him defend Harden well. We've already seen him make threes. He just did it all again in the most minutes we've seen him play, and I just feel more and more confident every game that this guy does this in.
At the beginning of the season, we had predictions, and I've already kind of talked about it earlier where, you know, you had said the most fun Suns season, and I think you're probably going to hit that right on the head. And the way things are going, if Bradley Beal can definitely stay healthy as well. And I had said Ryan Dunn wins Rookie of the Year. It's 5 games. I'm ready to quadruple down on Ryan Dunn's going to win Rookie of the Year. I don't know how, and I'm not advocating for any of this. Whatever it looks like, maybe it's spot starting. This guy's going to find a way, whether he starts or not, in any capacity, whether it's someone's injured and he's starting or whatever. He is going to get enough minutes every night because he is going to force Mike Budenholzer's plan, or he's going to force Mike Budenholzer's hand to play him. This guy is exactly what everyone wants in the NBA. If everyone knew he could shoot, I think he would have went number 1 overall in the draft. I mean, seriously, I do think so, Brendon. Everyone wants this guy. Everyone
Yeah, but
wants
the
a
guy who
3 and
went
D
number
guy.
one overall is also a wing.
He's more of a 7-foot guy. He doesn't play the same. Style that Ryan Dunn does. Everyone is looking for
I mean,
a
it's
3 and D
a
big
kind
body
of
guy.
crazy conversation. We agree he's awesome, right? I'm
That's
not
fine.
gonna
Sure.
be the negative one because I don't think he'd go first overall. But I agree
Ryan
he's
Dunn,
awesome.
I do think he would have. I do think at this point, if everyone knew that he could shoot this well, and it wasn't a thing that happened in Virginia, I do think this guy, all right, fine, would have been in talks to be the number 1 overall pick. He is the best defender in the draft. That was already out there. You add the element of scoring to this. He doesn't necessarily have a good mid-range game, but I don't care about that. He shoots threes at an effective clip. He gets to the rim. He's fearless. He's had to face Luka Doncic, James Harden, LeBron James, and he has done exceptionally in all of it. Man, I might be jumping the gun, and I might just be because I love this dude, and I've been rallying around this dude since last May. This kid is going to win Rookie of the Year if he continues to play like this, because this is what is going to establish winning basketball and give this team a chance to win a championship. I spoke all summer about if he can have a Derek Lively-esque impact, meaning an impact to winning, this kid's doing it, man. And he's fearless. Yeah. And now I'm like, he has no health concerns, but I'm just like, please stay healthy. I'm at the point with Ryan Dunn where this kid is going to force Budenholzer's hand to give him 25 minutes a night. This guy him and Royce O'Neal have been even more than what I thought. What about you?
Yeah, we're already there. I think there's no way
He's
Dunn
insane, man.
doesn't get 20, 25 minutes every night. It's not even about development at this point. Like he's earning it. He's one of the best players. You got to do it. He's already doubled his Rookie of the Year odds for anybody keeping track at home. I think we looked at it when you said that, and he was around plus 3,500. Ben,
5,000. 5,000. I remember.
It was 5,000?
It was,
okay, well, it's
I said
1,200 now, so he's like cut his odds in a third. He's like tripled his likelihood there. But, yeah, we'll see. I think it's worth – I've had it in the back of my head, like we will do a – what's the ceiling the rest of this season by the playoffs? What's the ceiling overall type episode on Dunn? I think we got to wait a little before we be fair to him on that one. But everything you could have hoped for and more. Already 2 starts. That says it all.
Could I ask you this?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, where is Ryan Dunn right now on the hierarchy of players? So Kevin Durant,
Bradley, Suns?
Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, I don't care. Put them A, B. Probably Bradley Beal 3 still. I don't want to argue with that. Where is he now?
Yeah, probably 5th. I would say Royce is above him because they do similar things, and Royce just, has had an awesome start as well.
Just curious.
I don't trust any of the centers in terms of being consistently good, so I would be crazy to say that in the modern NBA, to pick a ground-bound center over an athletic wing, and Grayson has had a rocky start. So
just curious. Just curious. Anyways,
maybe Tyus could be over him, but I think I just value size, so. Okay. One last little trick up my sleeve here, Ben. You know who my most vocal opponents are in this lovely comment section, all the everydayers and wonderful people we have? They're the Kevin Durant stands. And I don't know if you noticed, but I said something a little negative about KD earlier, which is that he didn't have it tonight. And that tends to hurt some people's feelings when I say stuff like that. So I'm going to make a point here before we wrap up and do a box score oddity. And I'm going to highlight Kevin Durant's defense tonight because it was very good. He had 2 blocks, and they were both huge in that fourth quarter when the Suns were holding on to, building a lead and then holding on to a lead. He had 2 big stops that directly led to scores, and he's continued to be probably the best, most impactful defender on the team. It's him or done through a week of the season because he has not had to do so much on offense. So this is a test for those people, if they want to comment and fight me, if they listen to the end. Because if they don't, then I don't think they get to tell me how my analysis was. So I'm just dropping this little Easter egg for all of the lovely folks that I love and I appreciate very much, but they like to fight. So here's some fighting.
I love a good fight in the comments. I love them all. I think they're great. They're like all amazing children. I'm not picking it. You know what? Speaking of that, I texted you today. I was walking around downtown Phoenix earlier today. Some guy stopped me, a nice man named Victor. And he goes, "Hey, man, I love the podcast." And I was like, Me? And I shook his hand. Super nice guy. And every day, or he told me, because I listen every day. Super nice guy. He kind of gave me the death stare though when I was walking up to him, and I was like, "What are you looking at, man?" And he was like, I think he was trying to figure out who I was. And I don't think I have a super recognizable face. I don't know. I'm not Tom Cruise. I'm better. But he had mentioned, he goes, yeah, I love the podcast. I listen every day. You and Brendon are awesome. And I thought it was the same guy you had ran into, and it wasn't. I go, did you speak to Brendon the other day? But
No,
nice guy.
I
Victor.
had a Hector.
Really good guy.
So we have a Victor and a Hector this week. So shout out to both of you guys. Similar names, but yeah. Appreciate everybody.
Nice. We have nice fans. We have nice listeners. We have nice listeners.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man. If the team can actually be fun again, which has been a while, our audience will show up. They're there. They lurk. They just got to be awoken. And so I think this team's doing it, and I'm having a lot of fun too. So there we go. Full week number 1 of the season in the books. We have a home game on Saturday to talk about. Ben and I will both be there. Maybe an episode, maybe not. Kind of play that by ear as we do over the weekend, and definitely back with you Monday to get you caught up on that game and next week's Sixers and Heat. Eastern Conference teams at home.
One of those is at 8 p.m., Brendon. One of those games is at 8 p.m.
8:15. Yeah, rough.
I might as well just sleep at the stadium.
Honestly. That'll wrap us up. Hit follow or subscribe. Click that link in the show description to sign up for the Locked On Suns daily newsletter. Get all the news and analysis you need about the Suns and the NBA right in your email inbox each and every day. Become an everydayer on the show, and we will catch you guys next week.